Go. Hey everybody, Coach Pete back at you. This is our third total COVID-19 instructional video, but this is our second that involves pitching. So today what we're going to talk about, after talking about and reviewing the rocker drill and the super rocker drill, and discussing a little bit of hip rotation, what we're going to talk about today are the moves that lead to that explosive hip rotation. If you don't master the body movements that go into the hip rotation, that hip rotation won't be optimized and it probably will not become complete. So there are 4 distinct body movements that get you to that hip rotation. Go. So I have Nicholas here with me today to help me demonstrate. So the way we do this is what I call from the ground up. Everything starts with your back foot. So your back foot, right? You can hear the mound. So I took out one of my softball pitching mats, and this really helps if you're doing drills. If you have something like this, I'm not telling you to tell your parents to go out and buy it, or maybe I am. I don't know. It just makes things easier. So everything starts with the back foot. Why is the back foot so important? Because in successful pitching mechanics, your back foot is an anchor. Your eyes are one, your back foot is your second anchor. You want that back foot cemented into the ground, and you want it to feel like your foot is kind of pushing down into the mound. You want to feel your toes, the ball of your foot, and your heel on the ground, pushing in. So what's going to happen here is your back knee is going to bend a little bit. This is an absolute must and something that you really need to focus on when you're getting set. When you do it in your drills and in your practice, when you go to pitch, it's just going to become natural. So again, the first thing we want to do is cement that back foot. It needs to stay solid throughout the lift, the body movements, and almost until we strike our foot on our stride foot, and then it moves, right? So in this sequence of drills and body movements, technically this back foot is not supposed to move at all. So that's the first thing I'm going to have Nicholas do. So Nicholas is going to set up big toe, middle, just like we always do. His back foot is firmly planted on the ground. You could ask him if he feels his toes, the ball of his foot, and his heel. You can ask him. You can ask him. Do you? Do you? Thank you. Okay. So what he's going to do, we go from the ground up, right? So what he's going to do now, the first movement in the pitching sequence is the knee lift, right? So we want that knee lift to be as high as possible. How do we know it's as high as possible? Well, that's something that you feel, okay? The more you practice that lift as high as you possibly can, then it becomes normal. So it's a drill in itself. It's just a one body movement drill. So my suggestion is when you're going through this sequence, you probably do it 15, 20 times and then go to the next one, right? And if you're doing this 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, then it just becomes normal. So all Nicholas is just going to do like 5 or 6 of them to show you what it looks like. So his upper body's going to remain tall. Here, back foot settled in, lift, and then just put it down. His body's not going to go forward. Go. Lift. Down, lift, down, lift, down, down. One more time. Okay, good. Okay, the next part of this sequence is the knee lift with the butt turn. So again, it's the same thing. That back foot is solid, right? Big toe, middle. Now what Nicholas is going to do, he's going to come up and he's going to turn his butt a little bit, staying tall here, right? Hit the height, turn the butt, put the foot down. That's the next sequence, right? Okay. Don't sink yet. Turn it, put it down. Yep. Lift, turn it, put it down. Yep. Down. A couple more times. Yep. One more. Okay. So why is this move so important? This move is so important because it gets your butt out front. It's kind of the biomechanics, pitching and biomechanics is kind of a free fall. Right? We use something called ground force. And you can't really get effective ground force, which is physics and the laws of gravity combined, if the most powerful part of your body is not out front. So your core here and your legs here, this is the most powerful part of your body, from the top of your knees to here. Right in the middle of it is your butt. So you want all great pictures. If you will see, you can go to YouTube and look at great pictures. What you will see is that eventual getting that hip out front. Okay, so as we're building up the third body movement after the knee lift, the butt turn is now the sink, the back knee. Bending to get you closer to the ground, right? This is not something called drop and drive, which is, I'm not going to say an old school term, but very few mastered that. Drop and drive is completely different, and I'm not going to talk about it here. We rely on science and physics and gravity as a kind of a free fall. It's not drop and drive. However, in order to get the most out of your hip rotation, that back knee needs to sink, and you settle into what's called the pitcher's load. So now what Nicholas is going to do is, again, that back foot is solid. He's going to lift, he's going to butt turn, and he's going to sink. And all he's going to do right now is put his foot down. Here, boom, boom, sink, and then put his foot down. Okay? Your body back. So in all these moves, our weight stays back. The longer we keep our weight back, the harder we throw. Right? One more. Good. Really good. So when we're doing these drills, we're exaggerating the splitting up of the moves. So in other words, it doesn't look really smooth when we're doing the drills, but when you get into the pitch, it'll smooth out by itself. So in other words, we're lifting, turning, sinking, right? It looks like three different things. It is, but when you turn it into your full mechanics, it gets all smoothed out. We exaggerate it to ensure that you do it, but when you do the mechanics, it gets all smoothed out. Okay, so now is the fourth body movement. So we have the knee lift. Nicholas bothering me. We have the knee lift, we have the butt turn, we have the sink. That fourth move is the move that really ignites the core and goes into the hip rotation. That fourth move is simply the free fall of the butt coming forward, right? Your weight staying back, your butt goes forward for as long as you possibly can, and then your legs come through. So what we do, there's two drills that help us with this. The first, most of you will know, and if you're watching this for the very first time, that's awesome. This is the drill that puts together the three things that we did off the mount. So this is what we call, this used to be the butt drill. The butt drill was just lift and turn and free fall into the wall. Now we've added the sink, so we've changed the name of it to the butt sink drill. So what Nicholas is going to do is he's going to put his hands at about eye level, right? He's going to get next to the wall. He's going to set his feet up staggered like he would if he was pitching. He's going to keep his eyes forward. The idea here is to pull off all body movement. So lift, turn, sink, and then go into the wall, and his eyes will drop down below his hand. If your eyes don't drop down below your hand, then you didn't sink. We want you to go down. Right? So again, this is the butt sink drill. This incorporates all four body movements that lead into a powerful hip rotation. It's called the butt sink drill, and you do it against the wall. Right? Great job. So when you do this drill, you don't want to be too far away from the wall, because then you're just going to kind of slam into it. You want to be close enough so that your butt hits the wall. So if any other part of your body hits the wall, then you did the drill wrong. So we don't want your shoulders hitting the wall. We don't want your feet hitting the wall. We want that butt out front. Again, this is something that is contrary to what a lot of coaches teach, which leads to danger. What I don't like seeing, what is dangerous, is when even if you lift, turn, and sink, you drop this down. You drop your foot down like this, you're going to get a short stride, your hip rotation is going to be limited, and you're going to be throwing all arm. You need this butt out front. Whether it's called a butt turn or a corkscrew, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. You need this mass of your body out front to lead the way. If you lift and drop, your stride will be short, and you're going to be throwing all arm, and you're going to be finishing really high. Okay, so there's another drill that's very similar to the butt sink drill. I just call this butt sink without the wall. So what Nicholas is going to do is, again, all 4 body movements. Knee lift, butt turn, sink. Now that 4th movement is kind of that free fall with his butt out front. The ultimate goal in that free fall is that your butt is out front for about 1/3 the length of your stride before your front foot passes and starts the completion of the hip rotation. So this is more of a practice of that free fall move with his butt. His weight stays back. So again, everything stays back. He's solid. Lift, turn, sink, start to fall, and all he's going to do is put his foot down here. His hips are going to be on an angle. The front hip is going to be angled towards third. Back hip is going to be angled kind of towards first or right field. His head is going to be straight, but his weight is going to be back here. So if I do it again, here, that's how we want him to end. Again, it's the knee lift, the butt turn, the sink, the free fall with the butt, while keeping your weight back the whole time, right? So let's try it. Okay, not bad. Get that turn and keep your body tall. So you're going forward. So here, it's okay. This is what happens. This is why we do this. I want his body, his upper body, and his backside to stay right where it is. I just want his butt to free fall, and then he drops his foot. Yep. Try it again. Back. Yep. Do it again. Yep. Stay back. Keep that weight down. Keep it back. Stick your butt out. Yes. Way better. One more. Okay, one more time. I lied. Again. So, okay, good. Really good. So, all of these moves, 2 key things here. You have to master these 4 moves before you can ever ignite into a powerful hip rotation, which is created by the core. So that's 1. You have to master those moves. 2, you have to master those moves with your weight back. Right? We want this weight back for as long as possible. And that's kind of what we're learning here. So the natural thing to do for most young pitchers is just to lift their knee and go forward. We're flipping that because there's more power back here. It's a storing up of potential energy or energy that's going to explode, bang. Instead of that energy being spread out, that energy is like one big ball of energy just bang coming down. And the only way to achieve that successfully is if your weight stays back. So all of 4 of these body movements, your weight stays back. In the next video, what we will go ahead and get into is the igniting of the core, the opening up of the hip rotation, front side, back side, the trail of the leg, the whip through, and the bend. But for right now, what we've gone through is the build-up of the beginning of the mechanics, okay? Guys, that's a million times. I know it sounds like a broken record. High knee lift, butt turn, sink, free fall with the butt out front. Master those 4 moves, and your hip rotation will be really powerful, okay? That's today. We'll come back next time with the full hip rotation. Until then, thank you.